What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Thursday, August 15th, 2024, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 1600 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Eastern Europe and the Middle East. So, a person in Stockholm, Sweden, has been officially diagnosed with a new, more contagious variant of the monkeypox, making it the first case of monkeypox in Europe and the first case outside of Africa. So, this is very, very concerning, and the timing of this monkeypox outbreak is very unusual considering that elections are coming up very soon here in the US. And American Airlines has canceled flights to and from Israel until April of 2025. Wow, that is absolutely insane. And yesterday, Iran issued a NOTAM, a notice to airmen, for their pilots, stating that Iranian pilots should not fly in Western Iran until September the 19th. So, very, very concerning information there. American Airlines canceling flights to and from Israel until April of 2025. It sounds to me like they're concerned about an all out regional war breaking out very soon. And before I continue with the breaking news, I wanted to mention the sponsor for this update, which is My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply is doing their most aggressive discount yet on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you got to go to preparewithnyprepper.com. They've lowered the price of their 3-month food supply from $800 down to $500. 3 months of emergency food for $500. That is a really good deal, and it will last you 25 years because it is freeze dried and it's all packed within 6 rugged water resistant buckets. So you have all that food in a small package. You can store that pretty much anywhere. And you can also take it with you. If you have to bug out, you can throw that in your vehicle easily. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get $300 off the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply, $500 for it. Also, they have free shipping and handling included. In addition to the 3-month supply, they also have a general store. And to get to their general store, you got to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you'll see the My Patriot Supply logo at the very bottom of the page. You click on that, and it'll take you to their general store, and they have all kinds of discounts. And to get the deals, you got to use my link, preparewithnyprepper.com, and I'll leave the link in the description below this video. And the UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy will travel to Israel to meet with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Foreign Minister Israel Katz in an attempt to prevent an all-out war in the Middle East, Sky News reported, citing a diplomatic source. The report also notes that France's Foreign Minister Stephanie Sojourn is expected to attend. Lammy and Sojourn will coordinate messaging towards Iran and Hezbollah. Okay, so we have the foreign ministers of the UK and France traveling to Israel to try to prevent an all-out war. I don't understand what they're going to do there. Are they going to tell Israel, don't respond back after Iran attacks you? I don't understand what the purpose of this is, okay? They should be traveling to Iran and Lebanon, not Israel, okay? This is absolutely disgusting and despicable that they're going to try to basically convince or even threaten Israel not to respond back to this Iranian attack. So very, very concerning. And Israel's foreign ministry said today that Israeli citizens visiting the countries bordering Iran, including Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, Armenia, and Turkey, should be on alert, exercise caution, and heed warnings of Israel's National Bureau for counterterrorism. So they're concerned that Israeli citizens could be attacked outside of Israel in countries bordering Iran. And the leader of the Houthis in Yemen said the response to the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh and Fuad Shukr has already been determined and it is coming. And the White House said they do not believe that Iran has backed down from its threats to attack Israel. They believe that the Iranian attack will happen in the next few days. And U.S. National Security Advisor John Kirby said Iran is moving ahead to strike Israel directly. This could happen without any warning or with a very short notice. The U.S. administration believes an Iranian attack will happen, but the waiting period might last even up until the end of next week, sources say. The administration believes Iranian response will be intense like the April attack, but in a different method, according to a journalist from Khan News who spoke with sources inside of the U.S. administration. So very, very concerning. And the Israeli Security Cabinet convened a meeting at 2100 hours earlier tonight, local time, at the IDF headquarters in Tel Aviv. So that's like the equivalent of the National Security Council here in the U.S. meeting in the Pentagon. And Israeli F-16 pilots who participated in the bombing of the Yemen port of Hodeidah recently are now being prepared for strikes in Iran, according to Khan News, citing a pilot that was interviewed by Itai Blumenthal. And this pilot said that F-16 fighter jets can be mobilized in less than 24 hours to hit any point in the Middle East. And the USS Abraham Lincoln is now near Singapore, and it's on its way to the Middle East. From Singapore, it should take just another 5 days for it to reach the Middle East. And in an interview with Al Mayadeen, former Iranian diplomat Amir al-Musawi claimed Western officials recently threatened Iran with a nuclear strike. Wow. So that was probably through back channels, because I didn't hear any overt nuclear threats to Iran. So that was probably through back channels. And I want to just show you guys what we have going on over the United States right now. We have U.S. nuclear forces on high alert yet again. We have 3 B-52 nuclear bombers airborne. We have 2 nuke sniffers airborne over the plains, which is very, very unusual. Normally you just see like one of them, but for some reason we have 2 of these up in the air today, and these planes can detect radiation in the atmosphere. So I don't know if they're expecting a nuclear test somewhere or what, or maybe they're expecting a power plant to melt down somewhere. I have no idea, but this is very unusual. And yesterday we had a nuke sniffer airborne as well, and we had a missile tracking plane flying over Wyoming, and it was looping parallel to the Pacific, meaning that it was looking out towards the Pacific for any possible missile launches so it could track the trajectories. So I don't know if North Korea is going to be testing another missile or testing a nuke. I don't know. But we also have the 3 B-52s airborne. We had a lot of nuclear attack options broadcasted earlier this afternoon that were directed towards these bombers that are airborne. And one of these bombers is currently over the panhandle of Texas, and it's flying at a really high altitude, which is very unusual. Normal cruising altitude for these planes, and most planes in general, is like 30,000 feet or 25,000 feet. And this thing just rapidly climbed up to 45,000 feet as soon as it got into Texas. So very strange. Here's a closer shot at the nuke sniffers flying in Kansas and Nebraska. And interestingly, we also have 2 aerial refuelers flying just north of Des Moines, Iowa right now together. And they could be refueling some kind of asset that is off the flight tracker, possibly a doomsday plane. There's also 2 of these aerial refuelers flying over north central Montana right now near Box Elder, Montana, which is where we have one of our missile fields, potentially refueling some asset that's dark without its tracker on. So, very concerning. The hunt for Red October continues here in the U.S. Another P-8 Poseidon sub-hunter off the west coast of Florida today, and a massive amount of reconnaissance over Poland and the Baltic countries yet again last night. Here you can see several reconnaissance planes in northern Poland, in Latvia, and in Estonia. And the president of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, threatened today to use nukes against Ukraine. He said, quote, Belarus will use nuclear weapons if the enemy crosses the border of the Union state. There will be no red lines. The answer will be instant. Wow. But what's also interesting is he asked for peace between Ukraine and Russia. He said, quote, let's sit down at the negotiating table and stop this fight. Neither Ukrainians nor Russians nor Belarusians need it. So he's not wrong there. And the Biden administration is considering sending long-range cruise missiles to Ukraine known as JSAM, which are Joint Air-to-Surface Standoff Missiles. So that is very, very serious, guys. JSAM missiles have a longer range and a larger warhead and are more stealthy than the Storm Shadows and the Taurus missiles. We actually sold a bunch of them to Poland many years ago, and they also now make an extended and extreme range version of the JSAM, which Poland has purchased, and those can reach Moscow from Europe. So this is very, very serious, guys. If the Biden administration is considering giving them JSAMs, that means they're going to green light Ukraine to use them inside of Russian territory, because why else would you need those JSAMs if you're not going to be striking deep into enemy territory with them? It just doesn't make any sense otherwise. So this is very, very concerning. These are one of our best cruise missiles, okay, the JSAMs. And Britain is urging allies to allow Ukraine to use Storm Shadow missiles on Russia. British ministers are holding private talks with Western governments, which have so far been cautious about providing Ukraine with long-range weapons for fear of escalating the conflict. So that is also very concerning. And Russian nuclear bombers flew over the Barents and Norwegian seas, as well as the Baltic Sea this week. Two Tu-95 bombers flew over the Barents and Norwegian seas, while two Tu-22 M3s flew over the Baltic Sea, which were closely followed by NATO fighter jets. And Polish fighter jets intercepted a Russian reconnaissance plane over the Baltic Sea on Monday, according to the Polish military. And a Russian Tu-22 M3 bomber crashed in Cheremkovsky district in Irkutsk for unknown reasons. The pilot reportedly ejected. And Ksenia Karelina, a dual Russian-American citizen and Los Angeles spa worker, was sentenced to 12 years in prison by a Russian court for treason after donating $51 to a charity supporting Ukraine. Some of you guys may remember her. I think she's also a social media person. And for donating $51 to a charity supporting Ukraine, she is now going to go to jail for 12 years. That is just totally insane. And the Ukrainians are continuing to make gains in the Kursk Oblast. We're hearing of more villages being occupied by the Ukrainians. There's no immediate end in sight to Ukraine's blitzkrieg of the Russian Kursk Oblast and Belgorod Oblast. And the U.S. State Department has approved a potential sale of Patriot missiles to Germany for an estimated cost of $5 billion, guys. That is a massive amount of Patriot missiles. And the U.S. Navy confirmed today that they conducted joint operations with the French Navy in the Philippine Sea 2 days ago. So recently, there's been a lot of activity in the Philippine Sea with Chinese Coast Guard harassing Philippine military vessels, Philippine fishermen. So now the U.S. Navy is conducting joint operations there. But speaking of China, it's been very, very quiet there. If you notice, the last 2 months or so, we haven't heard of any incidents around Taiwan or around the Philippines. Things really quieted down, and we have not heard or seen from Xi Jinping in the last 2 months. And I think that he had a massive stroke and he's probably recovering from that still. And that was reported by a Chinese activist journalist by the name of Jennifer Zhang, and she's usually pretty accurate with her info. So it's very possible that Xi Jinping suffered a massive stroke, and that's why things have really quieted down in Asia the last 2 months. And Typhoon Ampil, currently a Category 2 typhoon, is approaching Japan and is expected to severely affect the southeastern Japanese coast. The typhoon is predicted to intensify potentially into a Category 4. As a result, Japan has begun to cancel flights and trains in preparation for the typhoon's arrival. The storm is expected to disrupt transportation and services in eastern Japan, including Tokyo, starting from August 16th, with high winds, heavy rain, and storm surges anticipated. Authorities and weather agencies are closely monitoring the typhoon's progress and advising residents and travelers to stay informed and take necessary precautions. So that's the latest breaking news that I have, guys. I will be back later on tonight with more breaking news. I do have the 24/7 live stream up right now, so you can go in there and listen to the nuclear forces. You can check out the flight trackers. You can watch some live cams, and you can interact with other people and exchange info. But I will be back later on tonight in the 24/7 stream, and possibly I will post another update if necessary. So until then, just make sure you guys are getting prepared, because I think we're the closest we've ever been to nuclear war, and the mainstream media is not talking about it. Okay, Ukraine is now literally invading Russia, and that is grounds for Russia to use nuclear weapons. Okay, according to their nuclear war doctrine, when another country invades their territory, they're allowed to use nuclear weapons. Okay, so especially if the Biden administration gives Ukraine JSAMs and they start striking all over Russia with those JSAMs, that's going to really piss off Putin. Now, I support Ukraine, but you can't deny that this is going to cause an escalation. So we'll have to wait and see what Putin does. He may not do anything. Maybe he's just going to, cower and back down. It's really hard to say. Maybe he's going to back down. I don't know. But be prepared for the worst, guys. And the situation in the Middle East is not looking good either. Okay, there's no peace in sight. Iran is going to strike Israel, and Israel is going to probably declare war on Iran after they strike Israel, because Israel has had enough of Iran. And, with all the proxies that have been attacking Israel that are all funded by Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, and now they're striking Israel directly. Yeah, I think Netanyahu's patience is just about done. So get prepared, guys. I will be back later on tonight. Have a good evening. Take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere. Culinary out.